Alright folks, welcome back. I'm actually here to do another video, and this video is on the addition and subtraction of numbers, except it's using sig figs. This is a supplement video because the first video that I did I felt was very poor in explaining the sig fig rules involving addition and subtraction. So I'm going back and redoing this. So because one, I totally did not explain it the way it should have been explained. I took a lot of things for granted in the video, things that were very fundamental and basic, and I just totally went past them, and I shouldn't have done that. So there were some errors in the video, so that's why I'm redoing it. Okay. Anyway, I've got a three problems here that we can look at that should help take care of a lot of things involving sig fig rules with addition and subtraction. With sig fig rules in addition and subtraction, we really don't concern ourselves with the number of sig figs each individual digit has, like we do with multiplication and division. What we actually try to concern ourselves with is which column of numbers is the weakest. And if you remember, every last digit that is significant is our estimated digit, and that one estimated digit is still significant. It's just estimated. Okay. So if we were going to add these numbers up, we would then pay attention to which columns were weak. And looking at what columns would be weak, we could say the column that has the 8 in it here is weak. And the reason why this column would be weak is, notice it's the only number in the column, but this number is a significant digit, and it's the last significant digit in this number, which makes it a weak column. Because, in addition, you have to line your numbers up according to the decimal, so that puts them into columns. So this is the weakest column. Now let's look at this other number, this 26.35. Well, there are 4 sig figs here, but remember, this is addition. Okay, since this is addition rules for sig figs, we pay attention to what is our weakest column. And remember, our weakest column is the column that contains our last sig fig, and our last sig fig in this column is 5. Okay, so this 5 is estimated, but it's still significant. Okay, so that makes this column weak. Okay, now you're probably saying, well, what about this column? This column isn't weak. Well, it's not weak, but check this out. The column that's in front of it is weak. And that makes that one just unfortunate, and it's no longer going to be considered, I guess you could say, strong. It's not going to be used in our sig fig rules for addition or subtraction. Now look at this number. Up here we can see that there's 5 sig figs. But remember, which digit here is the estimated digit? Well, it's the 2. The 2 is the estimated digit because it's our last significant digit that was written down. So it's the estimated one. So that makes this number weak as well. Now notice that there is no other number for us to look at of having an estimated digit, which gives us a weak digit, which then results in a weak column. Okay, so this one ends up being our weakest column. Now we go ahead and add the number up like we normally would. We get 8 here, we get 2 here, we get 5 here, we get 5 here. Now don't forget about the decimal. We get 11 here, because 5 plus 6 plus 0 is 11. Carry our 1. 1 plus 0 is 1, plus 2 is 3. And I know my numbers are shrinking, sorry. It's just difficult with a mouse. 2 plus 1 is 3. Bring down our 0. And bring down our 1. Now, this number is weak. This 2 isn't weak, but the 5 in front of it is weak. Oh, an update for Linux. Yay. And this 5 is weak. So unfortunately, this 2 is going to be just left out and be considered weak as well because it's trapped between numbers that are weak. So our weakest column that's the closest to the front of our number is this 5. So this 5 here is going to be the last digit that we would write down. And what we're going to do is we're going to look to the right, see if we can round that number. If you notice, we could round our 5 to a 6. So that makes this number 1, 0, 3, 1.6. And this would be our final answer. Now remember, in addition and subtraction of sig figs, we try to keep only one column that is weak. And the only column that makes sense to keep that is weak is the one that's closest to the front, because it would be the last weak column. Now I know you're thinking last, you would think towards the end, but you got to think, if this one's weak and the one, even a one in front of that, is weak, that means this has got to be even weaker. So you just go through there and you find the weakest column closest to the front. Now let's just hurry up and try to do this next one, so we'll punch into the calculator to make our life easier. That way we can get the problems done quickly. Whoops. I guess I need to pay attention to how I type stuff in. This is 64.800 plus 89. Let's see, 8940 plus. It's actually minus, isn't it? I just saw that. Sorry. Minus 78.066. Now notice that I'm able to just punch these into the calculator, and I can call it quits and hit enter. Now it gives me an answer. Now we know, as scientists and as students who have been studying sig figs, that all these numbers cannot be my answer. But we're going to write them down for now so we can decide what to do here. Okay, I seen 8. What was that? 8926. 8926. I know I got lazy. Don't get mad at me, you math lovers out there. 8926. 8926. 734. So 734. Now let's go back up and look at the number here. Okay, each individual number. In this 78.066, which number is the weakest number? Well, it's the one that's estimated, which is, guess what? You guessed it, 6. Now let's go back up here to the top and look at this number. Now, all these numbers are significant. So our last significant digit in this number is, guess what? You guessed it, this 0 right here. So we've got two numbers that are weaker in this one column. Looks like we're in pretty good shape, right? Well, not so fast. Look at this number. 8,940. Notice that there's no decimal here. There's no bars or anything to justify this 0 being significant. So really this number only has 3 sig figs. So this number here is our estimated digit. It's our weakest number. That causes our weakest column to be in the column of the 6, the 4, and the 7. Well, that's the tens column. That makes only the 8, the 9, and the 2 relevant, because this 0 is not significant. But this tens place that contains the 4 is a significant digit. And since it's our last significant digit, it's our last digit that is important. And we know that it's estimated as well. It was probably rounded up or down. Okay. Anyway, so what we have to do is to justify an answer here is to round. Well, that 6 will change this 2 to a 3. Well, when you write down the 8, the 9, and the 3, it looks like you've got 893. That is nowhere close to 8,926.734. Now what you could do is you could add a 0 to this, and you would still have 3 sig figs. But look at the number now. By adding this placeholder, it becomes 8,930. Much more acceptable. So this is the correct answer. Now let's look at this last one. Okay. On this last problem, let's clear the calculator. We'll punch it in. We have 0.0055 minus 0.01127. I hope I'm getting it out. 0.0550127. I am. Minus 0.70. Enter. We get a negative answer. Well, that's okay. Let's go ahead and punch it in for now. We'll write it all down. 7577 negative. Okay. So here we go. Hopefully I can remember that. We get a negative 0. I've already forgot it. 705 705. I think it's 77. You're probably right. Yep, 77. Now we know, using sig figs, these cannot be all of my digits for this answer. Let's find the weakest column. The weakest column contains the 5, contains a 7, and contains this 0. Now remember, we're going to pick the column that's the closest to the front for our last weakest column, the one that we're going to write down. And it looks like it's going to be the hundredths place, this column right here. Okay, so that means that we're only going to keep 2 numbers behind this decimal, which ends up being this 0 right here. Now what we have to do is we have to actually look to the right and see if we can round. Well, the digit is a 5, but it's a 577, yada yada yada. So that makes this negative 0.71. Okay, so there's my final answer on this one. Now remember, when you're dealing with sig fig rules of addition and subtraction, you keep your weakest column that's closest to the front of your numbers. So basically, you're keeping the last estimated digit that's the closest to the front of all your columns. So, I hope the video was helpful. It's much better than the first one, and I apologize for making errors in the first video. But I'm going to leave it up and put this one right next to it. So, please watch it, and I hope you enjoy it. Alright, I hope it was helpful.